Javiel Centeno Sweatbox Gym in Davie, Florida. Javiel, I mean, what does it mean to you, man, training for the chance of the Undisputed Championship coming up in your own backyard, basically?
Yeah, well, you know, it's crazy. I mean, many trainers and boxers don't get an opportunity, you know, at a world title. This is an Undisputed title here in my backyard, which is, it's awesome. It's awesome.
What is what's the I guess the crowd that's coming for you? Like, are you bringing a lot of people locally to come see you and see your work at firsthand?
I'm sure some of my, you know, my old fighters and some of the people that I've just trained over the years, some of my athletes that I've trained over the years, I'm sure are gonna, you know, show up. So it's gonna be a nice crowd. It's gonna be a nice turnout. Just love having it home. You know, so.
You've been training George for a few years now, man, and this has been something that's kind of been in the cards when he came to you. What does it even mean that it's here now? Like, you guys have kind of hit the destination, but like, I'm sure all the work that you put in, it's got to be so meaningful that you guys had a vision, and now here it is, right in front of you, a couple weeks away.
Yeah, it's a great feeling, you know, having this, you know, this opportunity, especially here at home. But knowing how far George has come, you know, everybody he needed to fight to get to this position, we've taken on that challenge. We fought, we've won. So it wasn't an easy road. And I give Teofimo, you know, credit as well, because his trajectory to where he is now is kind of the same way. So they met, you know, facing the guys that they needed to face at the time to get to the position where they're in. So it's one of these fights where it's not just a guy that just came up because, you know, he had a name to him. Most people don't know who Kambosos is here in the States. You know, they follow his social media. He's great on social media, but it's you know, it's different. You know, he is coming in as the underdog, but he likes that. You know, and we like that position. But it's gonna be a great fight. It's gonna be a great fight.
Has there been any part of you that's had to hold him back a little bit, because this is such a big, lofty goal they just have to watch? So as a trainer, like, what's that balance of, hey, we got to go a little bit extra because the stakes are so high, but also I don't want him, you know, gassing out?
Yeah, well, you know, with George, we always have to kind of tame him a little bit, pull him back, because as everybody knows, you know, he is one of those that does not stop training. I mean, immediately after the Selby fight, the very next day he was training, you know. So we do pull the reins back a little bit on him, control his tempo, and then with the change of date, we had to kind of bring things back a little bit and then get it going again. So, I mean, it's a little change. It's not difficult, but it is something that we have to control as a trainer. You know, sometimes the fighter just wants to keep going, but we have to make sure that we don't burn him out either.
This is an interesting, you know, tell too, because Teofimo, you know, was a big amateur down here in Davie. What do you think that this, I guess, this fight can show for, I guess, the talent in South Florida? I mean, you're such a big part of that, and there's so many great gyms down here of kids working out. What do you think about the talent crop down here in South Florida, and what this can showcase for that?
Look, I think Florida's becoming one of those, you know, states where you're getting a lot of young kids coming into the amateur program that are developing into national level type fighters. But we didn't have that too much before, only because there wasn't enough, you know, competition, enough shows down here in Florida. But I think the local LBC started to pick that up and started noticing, look, there's a lot of kids that want to fight. We have to give them that venue to do it. And with that, you know, with that changing now, and there's a lot more amateur fights, you know, a lot of kids are starting to get into the sport that, you know, may not have been, you know, great football players, may not have been, you know, boxing's a different breed, you know. Football players, baseball players, basketball players, that's something that you can do and, you know, depend on other people. Boxing's one of those where you have to be internal and say, you know what, if I can't do this myself, I better find another sport.
Two more with you. You got Xander Zayas who's coming up in a couple of weeks, another young buck from down here. How have you liked how he's been developing his career? I mean, he's obviously, his name's getting bigger and bigger. How have you liked his developments come along?
I know Xander's been coming up well. You know, we've been, you know, because of his age, we've moved him, and I'm glad, you know, Top Rank is also moving him, you know, appropriately without, there's no rush with him. But his development has been great. You know, he's where we want him to be at this point. You know, we're always challenging him with sparring with different. I mean, he just sparred with Sean Porter yesterday, so we're always challenging him with sparring. but keeping his head right. Keeping his feet grounded and making sure that he's still continuing to learn. The last thing you want is a fighter that thinks they know everything and they don't want to learn anymore. Xander's not that type of fighter. He's one of those that's continually learning.
And finally, the prediction type. How do you see June 19th going? You versus Teofimo Lopez. How do you think you guys get it done?
Well, I'm not going to predict the KO, but I do predict a win for Kambosos. Whether it comes by KO decision, doesn't matter to me. A win is a win. And I'm sure George will state the same. So.
Well, listen. I know you guys are always stuck in the moment, but it is deserving of congratulations for you guys to get onto this stage and put South Florida on the map too, man. This is a big Undisputed Championship in Miami. I'm sure, as you know, it's kind of a big deal for the city too. So,
it is.
Congratulations for you guys.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Brendan, for having me on.
Absolutely.